Okay, this is a chart of the top 24 receivers of the 2022 NFL season. But one of these bars isn't really like the others. You see, Tyreek Hill is leading the NFL with 477 yards. All the way down here is TJ Hawkinson at 261. But just 2 spots up, there's this column. Why does this column look like a skyscraper from 100 years in the future? Well, this isn't just one receiver. It's actually 3. Because the point of this video isn't to celebrate the best receivers in the league, it's actually to trash the worst offensive team in the league. This column represents the top 3 receivers on the Chicago Bears: Darnell Mooney, Equanimeous St. Brown, and Cole Kmet, who have combined for 263 yards. The Bears as a team only have 471. And so in this video, we'll be looking at all of the guys who, by themselves, are better than the Bears' starting receivers. We're just gonna appreciate the vibe. I'm gonna throw on some music and we're gonna take in this pretty chart. All the way at the tippy top is Tyreek. I think it's fair to say that even the most barbecue-laden Kansas City fan couldn't have really expected this. The difference between him and number 2 is 71 yards, which is a solid game's worth. He's been insane for the whole season, averaging just under 120 yards per game. If he keeps up the pace, he's on track for 2,027 yards, which would smash Calvin Johnson's record of 1964. Obviously, it's pretty unlikely that he does that, but hey, we can dream. The point is, when he was brought to Miami as a free agent, not even the wildest dreamers could have expected he would lead the league in receiving through 4 weeks. Then again, his quarterback play has been better than expected and has led him to smashing the expectations set before him. Anyway, after Tyreek comes 3 receivers within 4 yards of each other: Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, and Cooper Kupp. A.J. Brown feels kind of out of place on this Mount Rushmore, but then again, he's the best receiver on the best offense in the league. The Eagles are 4-0, the only undefeated team left, mostly on the back of an explosive offense and quarterback Jalen Hurts. It's pretty understandable that Brown is near the top of this chart, considering that fact. I also don't need to talk about the other 2, to be honest. You know Kupp, you know Diggs, they're both just really good. It's that simple. After these 3, we have Justin Jefferson and Jalen Waddle. One thing worth noting is the quality of celebrations among these 2. Jefferson has, of course, offered the gritty up on a silver platter to NFL fans, and NFL fans have eaten it up since he entered the league a couple of seasons ago. Waddle has his classic penguin move, which I think is just pretty cool. Jefferson is entering his 3rd year, and Waddle is entering his 2nd. They were both super explosive last year and have continued their dominance into this season. While Jefferson's maybe a little bit more seasoned, both of them are so young for how well they're performing. By far, the craziest part about these 2 guys is how much they've accomplished in such a short amount of time. It's pretty insane. After them, we have another fall off. Down here, we have 4 of the biggest surprises of the season. First is Courtland Sutton, and you have to wonder how the hell he's on here, considering what the rest of the Broncos offense is doing. But in reality, he's been consistently putting up high numbers each game. Although it's not on here, he also put up 74 yards on Thursday night's stink ball against the Colts. So he's honestly just been pretty consistent, despite inconsistencies literally everywhere else on his team. There's also Hollywood Brown, Chris Olave, and Christian Kirk, guys who have pretty different situations. Hollywood has been a bright light on a pretty average Cardinals offense so far. Olave is a rookie who's been silencing doubters and spiting the 2 teams that picked receivers before him in the draft. But the most interesting guy on here is Christian Kirk, who got absolutely paid this summer by the Jaguars in free agency. A lot of people criticize the Jaguars for picking up an unproven career number 2, but he's definitely in the process of proving them wrong. Maybe the Jaguars deserve a little bit more credit for seeing what others couldn't. Can he keep it up? Who knows, but for now he's returning huge for the Jaguars and his doe-eyed young quarterback. Next up, we have Travis Kelce and T. Higgins. Kelce has been the best tight end so far, so, that makes sense. As for Higgins, we knew he was good, he just hasn't had as much of a chance to shine on the Tokyo of NFL offenses. And what I mean by that is that it's really crowded. The Bengals have a huge assortment of weapons, and so far this season, he's been really good at slicing through the crowd, and it's been a really nice surprise as an NFL fan. It's also worth noting that Kelce is a tight end, which means he's the only tight end on this list, yet he's still almost 60 yards ahead of the top 3 pass catchers in Chicago, which is pretty funny considering the role of a tight end is usually to block on running plays and to run short little crossers on passing plays. Next up after them, we have Tyler Lockett, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, and CeeDee Lamb. Lockett's a bit surprising here, considering Geno Smith didn't inspire too much confidence before the season started. Like Higgins, he's been another pleasant surprise so far. The other two, however, have totally underperformed considering their expectations going into this season. Jamar's problem has been that guys like Higgins exist, and because they're also good at the game, they beat their inferior cornerbacks and get lots of yards. Devontae and CeeDee have conversely been symptoms of anemic offenses. The Raiders and Cowboys are both performing awfully so far, and these highly touted guys haven't really moved the needle themselves. As a Packers fan, I really want to see Devontae succeed with Derek Carr, but this kind of feels like karma for basically saying he was better than Rodgers. Anyway, hope these guys get more on track, and they're still above the Bears, which is what matters. Next up, we have DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman. They're kind of opposites in that Metcalf has outperformed expectations while Pittman has sort of fallen short, but they're both pretty cool guys and the future is bright for both of them. We're at the point now where we can probably just lump the rest of the guys together into the same group. Noah Brown, Mac Hollins, Devontae Smith, Corey Davis, and TJ Hawkinson. How any of these guys are here is absolutely beyond me. If you follow football, you know that most of them weren't expected to do pretty much anything, and they've had a few good weeks to put them on top. The point is though, despite nothing being expected of any of them, they're all better than the Bears' top 3. They wouldn't be the best receivers on the Bears team, they would be better than their whole starting lineup. Also, it's worth mentioning, Corey Davis and TJ Hawkinson aren't technically better, but it's still pretty sad to see how close they are to the most talent Chicago has to offer. Anyway, that's the chart. These are the guys that are single-handedly better than the worst trio in the league. It's pretty interesting. For what it's worth, I do hope the Bears get it on track. It's always pretty sad to see young talent like Justin Fields and Khalil Herbert, as well as these guys, go to waste. Hopefully at some point they'll get it figured out and their offense will start to click. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate you for going on this journey with me.